It sounds like there is a huge emphasis and a huge responsibility on the lead, but in fact, it's a two-way street as far as I'm concerned. So the way most of the time people view the dance relationship is that there's a lead and then there's a follow, and generally speaking, that the lead dictates what's going to happen in the dance, and the follow is there to do whatever the lead asks, and then on occasion, when the lead provides the freedom, she can embellish and add a little extra, pizzazz. Um, my opinion is of that the lead is responsible for communicating clearly, but the lead is also responsible for adapting that communication, and as a follower, we're responsible for being clear with what we understood, right? It's so often that someone is saying something, they think they're communicating really well, and most of the time they think they're communicating well based on the other relationships where they've had the same communication. So if I'm speaking to a bunch of students of mine and I'm saying this is what needs to be done, and my tone, my tempo, and all of those things works with them, I might bring that home and start speaking to my boyfriend in the same way. And he's like, you sound like you're talking down to me. It sounds condescending. And I'm like, no, but I just got 500 people to do exactly what I wanted them to do. Why is it so difficult here? All right. So I have the responsibility of, yes, being clear with my communication, but also paying attention and adapting it to each environment. And everybody is different. And we have to remember that. Not only are they different just relative to each other, but they're even different relative to themselves, depending on the day, depending on what they're experiencing, depending on what they're feeling, depending on what they ate, whether they exercised, whether they slept well, right? And so if we go in with a hard, fixed formula for our communication with people, and even with the same person, we're already going in at a disadvantage. Talk a little bit on the flip side.
Yes.
If you don't understand, and I always encourage this is something from my classes. If you don't understand, you have got to feel strong and empowered and courageous enough to ask, because that's your responsibility. My responsibility is to communicate. My responsibility is hopefully to get us from A to B in some way or another. But if I think I'm communicating in a way that you're understanding, but you're not, I cannot read minds. I need you to tell me that, you know what, I got everything, but that one part that you said about this didn't make sense. Can you explain that again? And then we can start to move forward. But if you just pretend that everything is okay, that everything was completely understood, and then all of a sudden we get to the end of the line and we're like, why didn't this work? And then at that point you say, well, you didn't communicate it right. And I'm like, what? You had so many options to ask me. Right. So I feel like both parties or all parties involved have a responsibility for their own role to maximize their growth, their learning, their understanding, and effective communication.